Okay, so it's time to move on. Everything has had a chance to dry, and I think what we're going to do now is we're actually going to wire the primary hull. So I want to show you guys, when it comes to the primary hull, there aren't a ton of parts. We've got the top and the bottom of the saucer section. We have the impulse engines, and then we have that piece that's going to go above the impulse decks. And of course we have the bridge, and we have the sensor dome. The bridge that we used is the higher bridge, and we painted it the color of the ship, as you can see. And the sensor dome we're going to put in, we're actually going to paint white, as well as the bridge is going to be a flat white. Kind of like she appeared on camera. So when it comes to the impulse engines and the impulse deck, what we're going to do is we're going to put it gray, and let me show you guys. We're going to use the primer, the gray primer, and in addition to the impulse decks and the engines being gray, we're going to put all the coolers, the intercoolers on the nacelles. Those are going to be gray, as well as the end caps. And I got a really cool idea for the end caps, and we'll get to that in later videos. But for the primary hull, there aren't many pieces that are going to go on, but we're going to paint them in gray. So we're going to do that a little bit later. What I want to focus on right now is we're going to actually wire the primary hull. So let me show you guys what we're actually going to use to power it. Because it is small, and I'm still going to figure out a base that we're going to put the ship on, we're going to be using two 1.5 volt batteries. And these are the coin batteries. And because we're going to be using this power supply, it's really going to help us where we're going to use the SMDs, but we're not necessarily going to have to use the resistors, because there's not going to be enough voltage to blow out the lights. So that's going to be a good thing. So when it comes to the batteries themselves, let me show you. Yeah, these are, I had opened up these previously. So we're going to use two of these. And these are the LICB. These are 3 volts, CR2032. And these are lithium batteries. Kind of like the same thing that we're using to light the Enterprise D. Okay, so that's going to power. Remember, if you guys are doing any kind of modeling and you want to use the SMDs, if you're going to use anything over 3 volts, you got to use a resistor, because you'll blow out the SMDs. The lower voltage, we're not going to need the resistor, and we're going to use a lot of them. So these little batteries are going to be they're going to be really getting a workout. So we got the little compartment, and let's see if I can find the positive. You can see the positive is going to go face down in the first one, and then face up in the second one, and all you do is you snap it shut, just like that. The power supply is ready to go. It's got the little on and off switch. Alright, if you remember, we had used the liquid latex to mask off the bridge section, so I want to try to take that off now. I want to see how that's going to look. It just very carefully, ever so gently, I'm going to take it off, and hopefully you can see the bridge area. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the same paint, the flat white, and we're going to put the paint on top. That way there it lights up. Okay, so when it comes to the bottom, we get the bottom, it's going to go into this section. So we're going to hold off on putting this in because we're going to paint it first before we put it in, because it'll look neater. So let's see, I want to use the larger of the two Sensodomes, and that would be the earlier pilots. So we're going to use this one, and that's part 31. So we're going to paint that white, and that's going to go in the bottom. We also have that we have to paint is we have the starboard and the port navigational beacons. They're red and green respectively. So there's a lot of little individual things we need to paint, but what we need to do right now is we need to figure out the amount of bulbs we're going to use, or SMDs, in the primary hull. We're not going to do the rectangles on top. So we're going to need a light to light the top and the bottom, the Sensodome and the bridge. One SMD will do the job. We're going to need 2 more SMDs for the navigation beacons. That's going to go into the circuit board, and that's going to be on a different circuit. We're going to need another one to connect all of the fiber optics to, because I think the fiber optics coming in, I don't know if we would be able to just use it would look better if we put it up against the light, as opposed to hoping that the light catches it from the inside. We're going to use, I had wanted to use an SMD on top to light the registry, as well as the bottom to light the underneath of the ship, just like it would in the refit. So there's going to be quite a bit of lighting. So I think the first thing I want to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put all of the fiber optics in. We're going to start with that. And we're using, let's see, 0.75 millimeter, the fiber optic cable. Because it's so large, I think I'm going to just cut out a section. And then we'll use it up as we go instead of trying to take the whole roll out. All right. We'll put that aside for now. Okay. So you may or may not be familiar with fiber optic. What we're going to do is we're going to run the cable into the holes that we drilled. I might need to enlarge the hole because of the paint and the primer that we put on the hull. But see, we're going to put the cable through. We're going to secure it, and when you put the end of the fiber optic cable up against the light, it lights up. See? See how cool that's going to look? So we're going to secure it, and well, what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of glue on the inside. So we ran this one in. So I want to leave enough fiber optic cable where we can cut it if we need to. So what I want to do is let's do the front of the saucer section. So let's put in this one. All right, I want to make sure I use the right one. Okay, so we're going to use the plastic. So I'm going to put just a tiny little bit. Just enough, just like that. We're going to keep it secure. We're going to use the UV light and it's going to cure. So we got the UV cured, just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the ship and we're going to do all of the areas. Here. We got all 4 of them in. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to glue the ends inside of the hull. And we take the bulb, the light, the UV light, and we cure it. So, like I said, we got to go around. We're going to do this section now. You realize how many windows we have until we start to go around and put fiber optics in all of them. I think we got one side left. Over here. There. So we have all the windows on the outer parts. We got the fiber optics in, and we got them glued into place. So before we do the inside, I just want to take a light and I want to show you guys what we're doing this for, because I know it seems like a lot. So what I want to do is we're going to try to harness all the ends. I know this is going to be a little tricky. So we'll take the bulb, and again, when everything is even, hopefully you guys can see how cool that's going to look. And when everything is in place, so let me shut the bulb off now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our attention to the windows around the sensor dome. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the fiber optics in. And then we're going to glue it in place. There are a lot more on the bottom of the ship. See, when the light hits it, how cool that's going to look? You can see the ends as opposed to just the holes, so it's going to light up a lot better. There. So we got all the windows, all the fiber optics in on the bottom of the primary hull. Looks like she needs a shave. You can see all the whiskers. So when it comes to the top of the primary hull, the only sections really that we need to put the fiber optics in are over here. And I'm going to put one light on top. So we're going to need to drill that. We're going to do that by hand. And right behind the bridge would be the turbo lift, and that's where we're going to put this, the hole. And be very careful now. There. All right, let's put the pin vise aside, and now we can actually put the fiber optic through. So this is pretty labor intensive, but trust me, it is going to look really cool. All right, so let's put this in. Right about there. And we're going to start to put in the fiber optic around the areas around B deck. C deck. There. So let me show you why we did this. So hopefully you guys can see how cool that's going to look. Let me shut the light off. And that's why we do the fiber optics. So that's basically everything for the fiber optics on the top, just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim down when everything is all set. We're going to trim all of the fiber optic cables to the surface of the ship. And then all the windows are going to be lit. And let me see if I can get the top section as well. I might not, yeah. I'll have to do one section at a time. So this is the bottom of the primary hull. That looks really cool. And I'll show you the top. See how cool that looks? That's the top of the primary hull. And we'll bring everything together. You can see the lights on the top of the saucer section, around the bridge, and the lights that are going to be around the bottom. And we'll make sure there's good contact with all of them. So my friends, in the next video, we're actually going to put light to these, and we're going to start to install the lighting system in the U.S.S. Nimoy. Till then, my friends, I appreciate you watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys really soon.